We all want to know, we all want to appreciate the fact that we are unique. And without a doubt, every one of us is unique. Every one of us is distinct. We are, as the fingerprints, very unique. None shares your fingerprints in the whole wide world. However, that your uniqueness becomes beclouded to the point that you almost feel that you are mass-produced, that you are just another face in the crowd. Yet the call to personal branding that we'll be exploring today is that you do not just see yourself as another face in the crowd, but that you can face the crowd. I don't know that you get that. That you can stand out and face the crowd. One of the thoughts and poems that I've loved to emphasize where it comes to being distinct is a poem that says, "Since the world sits, you stand. If they stand, you stand out. If they stand out, you outstand. If they outstand, you be the standard." And when we think about branding, often we think about it about others. But remember, I began by saying, this subject is never about somebody else, it's about you. This is one of those topics when we talk about, we do not talk about somebody else. We are talking about you. Say I. It's about you. It's to sell you to you. It's to appeal to your somebodyness. It's to appeal to your conscience. It's to appeal to the fact that when the gentlemen upstairs switch off the lights and you move from this existence, you want to know that you are significant, not just successful. Success is what you achieve for yourself. Significance is what your success achieves for others. Can I repeat that in English? Success is what you achieve for yourself. And I'll tell you here without fear of contradiction that you can, in fact, you are a success. You can even successfully fail. You know, there are people who say, "I'll do nothing today," and you succeed in doing nothing. And guess what? You've succeeded, haven't you? "I'll never take another course. In fact, I'll never attempt to be in another relationship. I tried, and the heartbreak specialist mishandled me. I'll never dare trust anybody." And you'll say, "Well, I've had enough. I'll never even attempt to do more than my boss expects of me. Because if I do, people take advantage of me." And then guess what? You start breeding mediocrity. You start breeding being part of the masses. And my friends, I tell you the truth, there's nothing as selfish as accepting failure and mediocrity. Think of it this way. If you didn't become what you, and I'll get back to success and significance, but if you didn't become what you are today, that is making a difference in other people's lives, don't you imagine how much a robber you'd have been? And think of it this way. One who was meant to be a doctor, who never became a doctor, is the killer number one of the patients in the hospitals because you failed in becoming a doctor. If you're meant to be an engineer and you never became one, and I'm talking about areas of significance. If you never became significant, it means to the extent of your lack of significance, to that extent, you have robbed the beneficiaries of otherwise your success. Her Excellency Mary, if she never became what she is today, the school that she runs, all those children whose destinies are tied to her success and her significance today, they'll never be possibly experiencing their greatness. And I'm asking you today, do we have an option not to brand ourselves? I guess no. So success is what I achieve for myself. And in a certain measure, I was successful. I was the best of the worst. Hello? Michelangelo said, the danger of our times is not that we aim high and miss, but that we aim low and hit. Have you ever heard somebody saying, well, I'm not so badly off compared to my neighbors? If it's student, they say, well, my GPA is not so badly off. So you end up, and remember, your competence is never because of your comparison. Your competence is in spite of comparison. So I am speaking extempore to invite you to start asking yourself hard questions. That will you be missed when you exit the scene? Because I want to whisper to you, whether at a personal level, at a professional level, if your absence makes no difference, your presence was not necessary in the first place. Imagine you missed your home for 1 month and nobody noticed it. Imagine you never went back to your office the rest of the week. And they say, oh, you mean you are not around? That means you are statistics. You have no status. Please whisper to your neighbor, are you statistics or do you have a status? Or better still, ask them, are you celebrated or are you tolerated? That's the motivation bit of this. What about significance? So let's move from success. Because you can be successfully a mediocre. You can be a mediocre success. Are we together? You can be a millionaire, but maybe in Zimbabwe currency. You know you're a millionaire. And so I'm inviting us to entertain, as has been mentioned. My philosophy, my call is to inspire people to excellence. I do this through inspiration, motivation, and instruction. We've produced resources, books. The flagship title is Become Your Excellency, Time Valuation, Growth Reset, Stop Groaning, Start Growing. And we run a social transformation program, HESHIMIKA Excellency Initiative, which is a program that is inviting our fellow countrymen and women not to be waheshimiwa, but waheshimika. Abraham Lincoln said, worry not that you're respected, only worry that you're respectable. Worry not that you're trusted, only worry that you're trustworthy. Worry not that you're loved, only worry that you're... I'll let you to fill in the blank. Is it lovely or lovable? And so, what's my brand? I'm Joseph Obwanda. I'm a personal development consultant. I inspire people to excellency through inspiration, motivation, and instruction. Welcome to be part of the HESHIMIKA Excellency Initiative. I want you to think of 4 parts. Say who you are. Say what you do. All right? Who you are, what you do, why you think you're the best, or rather, what's the unique thing about how you do it, and what is your call to action. I am Joseph Obwanda. I'm a personal development consultant. I inspire people to excellency through inspiration, motivation, and instruction, through books, talks, and trainings. I invite you to be part of HESHIMIKA Excellency Initiative and enjoy this brand. Your brand is about 2 seconds opportunity to give people access into you. 2 seconds. If you can't do it in 2 seconds, even 2 hours, you'll be fumbling. And people will be now assessing you and dismissing you. All right? Now, when you write on your card, you do not say financial advisor. You say number cruncher. Are you think that? You do not say a security officer. You say insurer of your peace. You do not say I'm a teacher. You say I'm a dealer in knowledge and information. You do not say I'm a pastor. You say I'm a chief spiritual executive. Yet, you do not say, I mean, in other words, your brand is what's your USP, your unique selling proposition. Please capture that. What's your unique selling proposition? That is what you sell. There's something you can say, I inspire excellency of expression. It's something that leaves people excited at the prospect of having that. Please note this. A brand is a promised quality. That's what a brand is. A promised quality. That means anytime somebody contacts you, that quality will always be assured. When you contact her, what do you think she's assured you? Coaching, not just coaching. professionalism, and that again you can unclutter it in words that communicate. When I was training Safaricom staff, I learned that one of the unique ways that Safaricom has positioned itself institutionally and their staff individually in the concept of branding is what I've just mentioned to you. State a promised quality. Look, better option. What is that? Promised quality. In other words, what are they promising you? What? Ordinarily, you know, they would have said, telecommunications company of the world, something like that. Is that exciting? In fact, most of the companies today, when they brand themselves, they use, in fact, especially, not mobile, vehicles or vehicles manufacturers, they use only one word, a word. Like if you get Jaguar, what's their word? Elegance. Okay? Mercedes? Comfort. Or is it class? Class. All right? Nissan? Okay, I almost said Sunny. No, okay? But the point is, you can use one word or two words, at most three, that when you mention that word, people associate it with you. Please capture this, and this is part of just getting you to appreciate what's to brand yourself. Zig Ziglar said, whatever it is you can say after these words, that is your brand. Okay? Whatever you can consistently attach to the words, I am, that's your brand. Whatever you can attach consistently after the suffix I am, that is your brand. I am Joseph Obwanda, I inspire excellency of expressions. I'm a personal development coach, I inspire excellence of expressions. Or you can still put the value add. What's your value add? I am governance master turnaround. No, I just don't train you. I'm a master turnaround. Give me your stuff and I'll give you a turnaround. Are you seeing that? You give it a description that promises people. Quench your thirst. Who is that? Pride of Africa. Who is that? You'll never walk alone. Who is that? Liverpool. All right? That is your brand. Okay? Listen to this. In the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Al Ray and Jack Trout, they say this. If you can be the first, please note this. If you can, be the first. If you can't be the first, create a new category in which you can be the first. In other words, whichever the case, always be a brand. If you can, be the first. If you can't be the first, create a new category at which you can be the first. Let me whisper to you. The world has moved from competition. Do not think competition. Anytime you think competition, you risk becoming a mediocre. Think domination. Think domination. How so? This is how brands work. Brands, they come into an industry and they do things big, noisy, not messy. That one sounds political. But in a big way. You do things 10 times what others are doing. I could have easily become one of the many pastors. One of the many youth pastors. I could have easily become one of the many authors. I could have easily become one of the many whatever I do. But I ask myself, how do I make even my competition quote me when they're discussing about this matter? When people in your industry have to quote you and be worried about you before they make their decision, then you know you are a strong brand. Is there any mobile company that can discuss about telephony without referring to Safaricom? That's called domination. Can people talk about your industry without referencing you? Think it this way. If there was an international conference that was being planned and somebody happened to be there who knows you, and they asked about, can we get a speaker who can talk about this? Would your name pop up? Then you know you're a brand. Listen to this. What is branding? According to Oxford Learner's Dictionary, it's the art of giving a particular image to goods and services. Image to goods and services, so that people are attracted to them and want to buy them. So what's your image? I want you to pick 4 quick things that go along with that branding. Image, interest, impression, impact. Image, what creates an imagination in people's mind? That is what your image is. All right? That goes with how you dress. You can look like a prospect or like a suspect, because you are addressed by how you dress. Is that so? Yeah? Society is image sensitive, so you can't say, I don't care. No. So image. Then interest. Interest is, what is it about you that others would want? Because it's not appealing to their sympathy. For example, if you are in business and somebody said they are no longer going to do business with you, or you are in a relationship with somebody and they're saying they are no longer interested in you because they've seen somebody else that is an alternative to your best you. All right? Know what? When you catch yourself appealing for their sympathy, okay, please, boss, if you fire me, I've been paying school fees, I have a loan, please, I don't want to lose my job. When you do that, you know you're not a brand, you know you are a prayer item. But when you can turn and say, oh, by the way, you want to fire me? Oh, there's a university that has been looking for somebody to run a program on mentorship. Before you fire me from Daystar, think twice, because they'll get my services and you will lose. If you can say that, you know you're a brand. Because then you are positioning your value add. If it's in a relationship, somebody says, oh, so-and-so is chasing me, please. No, don't play desperate. Say, oh, and why are you running? Stop running, or else I'll deal with them. No, just don't deal with them. I'll address it. Then you know that you've addressed the matter. You are not going to be manipulated. Hello? When a company that is well branded says, okay, if you don't want to deal with us, we are moving our base to another country, then you know that that's a brand. Hello? Are you a brand? That goes back to what we said. Significance. That people need you. You appeal to their interest. The next one was what? We said impression. Is that so? Okay. Listen to this. I want to again give you, because if we can define it, we can find it. And hopefully we can just address defining bit of this thing. Listen to this. Christine Kibi, the president of Canterbury Group Limited, said this. Branding, this, it may sound corporate, but I'd like you to adapt it to yourself as an individual. Branding allows a company to differentiate themselves from the competition. Keyword, differentiate themselves from the competition. And in the process, to bond with their customers to create loyalty. Please note, differentiation, loyalty. Are you getting the keywords? So you create loyalty. So a position is created in the marketplace that is much more difficult for competition to poach. A satisfied customer may leave, but a loyal one will much less likely do. You don't want people to be your customers. You want people to be loyal. That is what a brand does. Many of us in this country, as we were growing up, we were introduced to one brand of toothpaste. Which was it? So even today, every family, everybody says, give me. It does not matter. It may be Aquafresh, it may be another one, but all of them are Colgate. You know why? Loyalty was created. Right? So I'm asking myself, could people say, give us the inspirational speaker? Many things may change, but they want, in other words, you are a brand. You are the way. You know, now we have what they call the Safaricom way. It's a culture. A brand creates a culture. Please note that down. A brand creates a culture. If you can't create a culture, then you know you're not a brand. Or if you are weak and you're soon becoming obsolete. Your culture, you introduce something that becomes irresistible and desirable for the sake of people's well-being. So I ask you now, what's your proposition? What's your culture? What's your culture? Because that goes with values, goes with principles, goes with characterization, goes with convictions. Is that so? That's at a personal level. That's what we are saying. That you bring your culture. That's why today I ask you, if Obama was the president of Kenya, what would be the difference? I know you're Pan-Africanists, all right? But I suspect probably he will bring his brand, his swag, his way of speaking, his way of connecting with the dreams, hopes, and aspirations of the young and the disadvantaged. And he'll come and wiggle his long finger and say, nah, for those of, oh no, that's the other guy, PLO Lumumba, all right. Okay, the point is, there's a way you position yourself wherever you go. Let's talk about the late Michuki. And remember I talked about moving from success to significance, is that so? Michuki was not successful, he was significant. That meant that he outlived himself. Though gone, but we still talk of Michuki rules. Is that so? He introduced a culture of matatu. He introduced a certain way of handling insecurity. He introduced a certain way of thinking about environment. We entertain that. So even kids who are being born today, who will never meet Michuki, but they know Michuki rules. I ask you, are you a brand? What is your impact? That's the fourth and the final one. The impact. Please note, impact is superior to impression. And you don't want to impress people. Because I know when you talk about branding, we always get caught up with the additives. We call them brand touch points. Okay? What kind of designer clothes you wear, which neighborhood you live in, which car you drive, you know, all those things. All those are important. But remember, it's never the container that gives value, it's the content that gives value. It's important to have the container being attractive, but I'm not talking about the external, I'm talking about the internal. Is that so? If you are a brand cat, it does not matter the color of the cat that catches the mouse, so long as it can catch the mouse. I'm asking you, can you catch the mouse? Can you be the one to tell people, don't worry? I am. Who are you? God is a God of brands. The first person to say I am was God. Jesus came and he said I am 7 times. He uses that phrase in the Gospel of John. That's to refer you to now prepare for Sunday service, all right? He said I am 7 times. Anytime I talk about personal branding, there's those who coil and they say, Pastor, isn't that being proud? Have you heard people saying that? Isn't that being bragados? We call it churchment, kujichocha yani. Just be humble, just be ordinary, just do your thing and don't bother people, don't make noise. Walk in slowly and go out as equally, okay? Jesus never did that because he's a brand. And I'll tell you what, Jesus was such a brand that even his competitors and his enemies, however begrudgingly, accepted that this is a brand. Even the guy that murdered him said, surely, I spared him, but this guy is the Son of God. Can you imagine? Those of you who are Bible literate, you know the story I'm talking about. Even the demons that were supposed to be his enemy, they say, hey, Son of God, what do you have to do with us? They branded him. I ask you, can your enemies, however begrudgingly, say, we don't like the shape of her nose, but she delivers? It's about your content. And you know, if you want to know your brand, let's use Jesus' style. The easier way, so that you know where to start. The easier way, Jesus' style, is this. 1, identify who you believe you are called to position yourself as a brand to. Okay, number 1. Who is your target? Because you can't be a brand to everybody. Who is your target? Number 2, what's their interest? Because if you define yourself accurately, then you'll connect with your target. And then what's their interest? That's a point of interest. Number 3, I'm going back to impression. What's your impression? Not on them, not impressing them, but what do you impress upon them? Are you getting it? What do you impress upon people? Not what you impress them. What do you impress them with? I don't want to impress you. I may not be impressive to you by how I dress today. You may say, no, that's fine. But my question is, what's my impression on you? That's when you know you're a brand. Long after you've exited the scene, let them forget the color of the dress you wore. Let them forget your hairstyle. Let them forget your tribe. Let them forget your gender. But let them not doubt that here was a great brand. The tiger does not need to proclaim his tigritude. You only need to see the skeleton of an antelope, and you will know a tiger was here. Hello? If you have to keep telling people, unajua mimi ni mwanaume, unless you're doubting it yourself. You don't need to fight for it. Give it impact. All right? So look at Jesus. So 1, identify your target. Interest. What's their interest? Connect their interest. Then impress upon them. Okay? In other words, seek to influence them. And then look at Jesus. Ask them. To know your impression, ask them to assess you. Look at, this was the most challenging one. Even me as a pastor, and in many ways that I do what I do, I find that very difficult. But I want to invite you to do this. This evening will be worth your while. Jesus called his disciples and he asked them, guys, come. I know I've been around for some time. Okay? Tell me, what do people say that I am? How many of you can ask that question honestly to your relatives, to your family, to your colleagues, to your employees, to people within the same industry, and be ready for the answer? Ask them, what do they think about you? Jesus asked that, isn't it? He kept saying, I am, I am, I am. At one point he paused, he told them, what do you think? It's one thing to tell people who you are, because people, by the way, in this branding business, people say anything. The leading international, global, universal conglomerate. When you look at it, you say, Chineke, even the definition of the word itself. But remember, Maya Angelou, one of the greatest novelists, Americans, said, people will forget what you did. They'll forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That is when your brand registers, what you made them feel. I posted in my FB as I conclude, this is very close to me, so allow me to share, all right? But anytime you are talking about brand, have an emotional connection. And have an emotional connection with the people by telling a story. Okay, maybe your story or a related story that helps them to see their humanness. Your brand should have humaneness. Are we together? Remember I began by telling you my story? There are things I said that you connected with, isn't it? It makes your, because there are brands that are impersonal. So if you go to St. Christopher and you say, we are St. Christopher, and you say your tagline, and that tagline does not have a human face, an emotional connection. I know her brand is strong, okay? Yeah? But when you brand yourself, put in your proposition or your promised value, that statement, give it a concept of humanness. All right? What am I saying? All notwithstanding, there's something you will do, your VAT, your value adding touch on somebody by reason of your being alive. Florence Nightingale said, to know that a life breathed easier because you lived, that is true success. That somebody became better because you lived. That's what we're talking about, guys. And I'm challenging us now. Go out there and become the ambassador of what God sent you and packaged you with.